All right, well, we got the 18-inch Highland Park saw. Not too long ago, I replaced the jaws in here, and there's a video on that. You can click the link and get to it. Right now, the problem I'm having is my switch, my start-stop switch, suddenly quit working. It started, the blade went around about one time, and that was the end of it. I have taken this cover off already, checked it, the wiring, although very old and cracked and needed to be replaced. It was wired fine. I took the switch out of service and just hot wired it, and the saw worked fine. So it was a real quick diagnosis of the switch. In fact, I'll show you how I did that. This is a simple 2-wire switch. This isn't real complicated. So there's the switch. Right here is the little pull. This goes through the body of the saw. This hooks to the chain inside the saw. You have to bend this up to hold the chain, and as we're in the start position, I push start, and this goes and the saw goes, the carriage moves, and once the carriage pulls this chain or pulls this wire, it pulls the stop switch shut. That's simply how it works. Now this is an old switch. They don't make them anymore, especially with this pull-through wire. That would be super cool if they had, because it's a really neat Art Deco switch by Cole Hersey. Really beautiful switch. It worked well right up until the point it didn't. So this has been on here for, I don't know, 50 plus years. Anyway, I wish I could get a brand new one to place in there. That would have been the best. You can see this wiring is just cracked and dried up. Every bit of this case is there. Look at, I can just, yeah, that's just dust. A lot of that probably has to do from the little bit of oil that seeps in there. This wire is not supposed to be encased in oil, so I will have a little copper there. When I'm done, I'll strip that down. But yeah, I've got to replace the switch. So there are a couple different options online. I did look at one that I could have used, might have been a little simpler, but I chose to go with the Highland Park fix. I'll show you that. We'll go to the website. I'll show you how to order it. Basically, there's a box. I'm going to have to install it here, so I'm going to have to drill a couple more holes in the saw. I'm not sure if this bolt is going to be in the way or not. I have no idea. So we're going to get into it real soon. So here we go. We're placing a start-stop switch on an auto feed 18-inch Highland Park saw. All right, we're going to jump on the computer and we're going to see what it takes to order a new electrical switch box for my 18-inch HP saw. I did send a message to Sherman Rowland and asked him about it. They don't have a direct replacement for that. So we're going to go under replacement parts. You can see on the low, kind of the lower left. And I'm going to get a part from a Highland Park square rail saw. It's an 18-inch saw. You really don't have to go through all of this. You could just type in switch. In fact, let's do that. Switch, and we'll do a search. Because this part isn't specifically for the older saws, but it is their replacement. So right here, they've got their safety switch with a safety interlock. This one has got all this extra stuff in the middle so that if you open the hood of your saw, it will shut off. You're still going to catch a bath because your saw is not going to shut off right away, but it's kind of nice to have that shut off. Everybody's done it. You go down a little bit to this one, and this is the power switch assembly for the anything from a 14 to 20-inch saw. Works for 110 and 220 volt. Price is $102.35. Let's take a little closer look at it. You get the switch. There you can see where the power goes in one of these two, and then the power from the switch goes to the motor. So it's wired differently than the original ones. But I'm going to add that to the cart. $102.35, free shipping on orders over $50, and they contiguous USA. So we're going to put that in the cart, and I think that's all I need right now. So I'm going to check out. I've got to take a look, see what the postal carrier just dropped off. There it is. That looks like a switch from Highland Park, March 16th. So delivery time was pretty good. Well, step number one, we're going to get the wiring out of the way. Let's see.
How easily this goes. Yep, first one came out very easily. Alright.
These threads are machined right into the saw, and I wonder if I should try and replicate that with the new one. Alright, well the box comes off easy enough. Until the real electrician did this, there's this nice little wire tie in the end. That is how you're supposed to do it. It's got to be some sort of a strain relief. Yeah, this wire's just coming apart. Of course, the first step in any good saw project is changing out the oil. Let's filter this. Anytime you do a big project on a saw, clean the oil. Clean it in between times. You're going to be a lot happier. Your saw is going to last longer. Your blade's going to last longer. Your rocks are going to cut cleaner. All right, well, now comes the wonderful, fun unpackaging time. Who doesn't like to unpackage parts? Okay, well, they went a little overboard on the plastic crap, but that's all right. As long as the piece shows up without any damage, we're okay. All right, just got a bag of chain. We've got the through the wall switch. So I'm going to have to drill a little bigger hole for that, it looks like. This has got to fit through there, and right now the only hole through there is for the wire, so that's kind of sad, but that's all right. We'll make that work. There, we've got the switch. Looks like there's 3 pairs of connections on here. Any 2 will do. But we got to wire this a little differently. The old machine, the old switch, the power went to the motor, and then from the motor it went to the switch. This one is different. We've got to supply power to the switch, and then from the switch to the motor. So I've got to replace the wire anyway, so that's not a big deal. It would have been easier if I'd only had to replace the one, but we're going to start fresh, get new power cords on there. All right, I have no intention of giving an electrical lesson. It's not my forte. I can muddle through. It should be safe when I'm done. That won't be a problem, but I'm not going to be the guy that explains how to wire things to everybody else. Search YouTube, find somebody else that's smart, hire it done, do whatever. But we're just going to show you a couple things. There's a lot of directions on the plate. You can find out about your motor. More importantly, if we take this open, hopefully we can figure out how to wire it. Currently you can see there's 2 wires going in here. One is the power going to the motor, and the other is to the switch. So I just got to figure out how to rewire that. Oh, that is loose there. Holy cow. A little problem here. I'm not sure if you can see this or not. That isn't doing so good. So we'll have to take a look at that. I hope there's nothing drastically wrong with this motor. Hopefully that can be tightened. If not, well, we'll see what we have to do. On second thought, what I think we're going to do with this, I'm going to pull that motor off. There's only 4 bolts on the bottom, 1 pulley. That should be it. And we're going to take a look at this on the bench. Now, simply to get at the motor, first I'm going to take the belt guard off. Funny, they did put 1 belt guard on, but all this has been left loose. Alright, there we have motor. What we're going to talk about now is mounting the switch box. Right here is the hole that the original wire went through to pull on and off. So when I go to line that up with the original hole, it doesn't really fit. Here's the hole. It's hard to see, but this is actually, oh, it's a 1/2 inch below. What I'm running into a problem with is interference here and this bolt that's bumping into it. Now, not too big of a deal. There's a lot of forgiveness in this. So next I just took the chain, take a look at it, and realized that this chain actually had been at quite an angle. Doesn't need to be that way. I could bring it somewhere near straight. So basically this box could go anywhere in proximity to a direct line with that. It doesn't have to be right on. In fact, this would be much closer than the original. To get where it was, there's quite an angle there. So I'm just going to slide it over, bring it down just a hair, and this is where I'm going to mount the box. Then I'll have to make another hole through here for the through hole. But first I'm just going to make a mark for one of these. In fact, I might just drill one through, mount one, and then mark the other three after. So I'm sure I get it right. It doesn't show up very well on this greasy thing, but after careful research, I found out we have to have a 5/32 drill bit to do a 1024 bolt. So what I intend on doing is I'm going to mount the box, get it straight, and then mark the other holes. Alright, well now there's a problem. This bottom screw definitely has to be tapped, and I'll show you why. Because when you look, it actually comes through into this piece. I'm not going to drill all the way through that piece. So the top two bolts, if they work out, they will get nuts. The bottom two, I'm just going to tap the steel as far as I can and call her good. So another unforeseen problem. So there we have it. We got the mounting bolts for Highland Park switch. What I should do now, since I don't have my motor, I will mount this with a couple of screws, and then I'll get the hole made for the wire to go through. My plan is I'm just going to estimate where that goes through as close as I can. Get the left and right. The up and down is hard because it's at a bit of an angle. Okay, well, there's two little punch holes there. Either one's going to work. Now we got to get down to drilling that. Looks like about a 21/64 should get us right about there. And a dead battery. Go figure. Or instead of drilling that out larger, let's just see if we can tap this a little bit here. It's probably a little oversized for what you're supposed to tap at. So I got the 3/8/16 tap. All right, that's even better. There's the switch. Awesome. So there, tap that out 3/8/16. These are 10/24, the 4 of them. These bottom 2 are really not going to do much unless I get a real small short bolt to go in there. These top ones are actually off a little bit, but I think I can get them together. Yeah, it's going to work out fine. Okay, well, I'm trying my second spare motor. I actually just picked this up this morning, bought it on an internet auction last night, locally, it was right in town. Went and picked it up this morning. It had a chunk of wire out of here. I tried plugging it in. I did not know if it worked, and it did not work. So I put my own little light duty cord, this isn't the appropriate cord for this motor, and did a quick temporary wire into it, just to see if it would go, and in which direction. So, anyway, spins like a dickens. I think we're going to be okay on this one. I think it's got the 5/8 shaft. I got to check that, but it's a half horse continuous duty. So if you're working on saws or anything, check your plates on your motors. Don't just put any motor on there. It's a big deal. So right there, it's a half horse motor. 110 or 115, 230. You could wire it either way. Right there, rating. CONT for continuous duty. That means this motor can keep spinning. If it's not a continuous duty motor, you're probably going to burn it out because some motors are not made to spin for very long periods of time. So anyway, look for continuous duty. I know I need a minimum of a half horse to run that saw. So anyway, I'm going to rewire this and then get back to what we were doing before. Hopefully, I'm on the road to recovery as far as my 18-inch HP goes. All right, we're one step closer, or 2 steps. I've got new cord wired in there, hopefully properly. Seems to spin the right direction. I got the pulley on here. I didn't tighten it down. I'm leaving a little adjustment. So now we got to go put her on the saw. Well, the only real problem so far, the mounting holes on that bracket aren't quite matching up. I could look at the old mount that was on there and maybe switch that, or I could simply drill a couple of holes in there and remount it so that pulley comes in line. So I'd have to drill some more holes in there. All right, There's 4 holes.
Especially considering what I am paying for these clothes. Yeah, but and like yeah, I thought that was like the responsible choice, but clearly this is like a joke school.
All right,
That's why most
there we go. It's lined up. Probably have an appropriate amount of tension on the belt. Now I just got to go back to the box and get that mounted and wired. So we're getting down to the last bits of wiring on this box. The switch, I showed you before, has got 6 terminals on it. We only use 2 of them, and then we're using them in pairs. And they have to be opposite each other. So that's where the blacks go. One black on one end of the switch, the other black on the other end of the switch, as long as I'm doing this right. I just spun the whites together. Throw the ground together. That's good and tight. So the blacks, I put the spade ends on. So without really knowing about the switch, I imagine one of the pairs is down and the other is up. So it can be kind of a fight to get them hooked up, but it should go. Actually, it's marked on and off right on the switch. So I think we got things about where they want to sit. Nothing is on here too tight. There's no real strain on any of it. I'll have to tighten these up in a minute, but first I got to get the plate and the nut on here. Okay, there we have it. All right, we got the switch on. It's in the right orientation. I'm going to mount it right here. I've got a couple little holes here to fill from the previous box. I can also throw a little silicone in the new holes too. There. Now I can thread that in. All right, there got a short little stubby, a couple of 1032s, 1024s, excuse me. All right, that switch should work adequately. Doesn't seem to be anything binding it up. I'm going to put nuts on the back sides of these. All right, that's snug. Again, the bottom two didn't get any backing nuts because they actually drive right into the piece that holds up the square rails. So let's see how things go. Okay, nothing happened there. I've got the switch in the off position. Here we go. Well, So we're fine. Tug this chain on here, get it to stop soon. Not electrocuted, the saw turns on, it shuts off. I may need a little bit longer chain on here. This wire is shorter than the original, so if I put a larger rock, a taller rock, it may not go back further. So I'll just change out the chain. They sent one with. I like mine, it's got smaller links, easier to adjust, but this isn't a bad chain. So I might just stick this one on here because it's available. Anyway, there it is. We've got a retrofit of the switch on the 18-inch HP. I know I got to straighten this out a little bit. I'll figure that out. Maybe a screwdriver and tap it down. But I don't want to turn the switch. There we go. Overall, I'll give this product a B. There's a few interference things. I don't know if this was meant to be a replacement switch on these things, but it works. There was a couple things to work around. One, this bolt gets in the way of where you really did want that originally. But that turned out not to be a bad deal because sliding this over made a more direct path from here to there. So that part worked out. The little through bolt, that works. The hole's a little bit bigger around, I think, than the original one where it went through the body. But I don't think I'm going to experience any leaking problems there. It is wired differently. The previous one, the power went to the motor, so the motor was plugged in and then one wire up to the switch. This one, the power goes to the switch and then to the motor, so you got to change that around. It's not super difficult if you have any basic electrical skills at all. It's doable. Use a good gauge wire. Again, I mucked out the saw. I got to fill it up with oil. Again, I'll give him a B on this one. B plus, why not? So once again, though, thanks to Highland Park, they came through. My saw will be running again in just a couple minutes as soon as I dump some oil in here. Might as well show you the rock I got. This was a Christmas gift from our Rock Club Christmas party. I don't know the name of it. It's a nice green. I've actually got a larger one of this that I'm going to do, make a sphere. But this small one, I think it's going to be pretty beautiful. Let's zoom in on it a little bit. That is going to make a gorgeous sphere. There is changing out my switch on an older model 18-inch HP slab saw. If you like the video, please like, comment, share, hit the button down below. If you like it, leave a kind comment. Even if you don't like what I did, leave a well-worded comment. I'd appreciate that. And there we are, Superior Lapidary. See you next time.